Hi everybody, welcome back. Today I'm doing something, well, that a lot of people need to do, but have never done before. I'm going to perform two functions on our brand new RV, and one of them, well, a lot of people don't know how to do correctly, and frankly, the owner manuals don't do a very good job of explaining it. The other one is one that a lot of people haven't heard of.
But first, this episode is sponsored by the folks at RV Life. The RV lifestyle is about community, and the RV community is at the heart of RV Life. RV Life recently celebrated the 1 millionth trip planned with RV Life Trip Wizard, their excellent trip planning tool for RVers, featuring all the trusted reviews, pictures, and tips from their RV Life campground site. RV Life also features several blog sites and over 20 additional RVing forums to serve the RV community. All this experience and community feedback come together to help create a fantastic RV trip planner and mobile navigation tool collectively called RV Life Pro. RV Life has marked a milestone of over 3 billion miles traveled using RV Life Pro, counting both the planned RV trips and ad hoc navigation within the included RV Safe mobile app. Take 25% off RV Life Pro at the link in the description for this episode.
So today I'm going to set the trailer gain properly on this truck as it relates to our trailer. But before I do that, I'm going to burnish the brakes. And if you haven't heard of that, I'm not surprised. I hadn't heard of it with our first trailer either. But now I know how to do it properly. So many of you have never read the manual to your axles and brakes, but the manual to your axles and brakes explains that you need to do this before you set the trailer brake gain. And what burnishing does is it heats up the trailer brakes dramatically to properly seat them so the shoes have 100% full contact with the drums. You're properly seating the shoe and the magnet inside the electric trailer brakes. This is the process for electric trailer brakes, which is the vast majority of travel trailers and fifth wheels on the road. This is not the process for hydraulic brakes. So the first thing I want to recommend you do is read the manual to your axles and brakes. So the new Sabre 37 RV Miles trailer comes with a Terran axle and brake assembly. You might have Lippert axles, you might have Dexter axles. They're all going to have a very similar process. They might explain it a little bit differently, but I've looked at the process for all of them. I've done the process for two of them, and it's very, very similar. I do want to make sure you double check the manual before you do this. And if you don't have a manual, I'm not surprised. We all know RV manufacturers are terrible at organizing a manual for us to all read that has all the different components on our unit. There's a lot of reasons for that, but look up the axle assembly you have and look for the manual for it online, and you can read through how to do this. I'll be honest too, just looking through the manual for the Terran axles, the burnishing process and just the fact that you need to burnish them to break them in is like 75% of the way into the manual. This is not something that the manufacturers explain very well, whether it's your RV manufacturer or your axle manufacturer. So the most challenging part of this is finding a place to do it. So I'm in the process of taking our rig from storage to a local campground for what we call our shakedown trip. A shakedown trip is always a good idea. It's going to a campground nearby where you keep your RV, nearby RV dealerships, nearby all the things you need to double check that everything works, right? To make sure that there's no leaks in your water system, to make sure your electrical system, your HVAC, all of it works properly, and you get an idea of what's wrong. Hopefully nothing's wrong, but also you get an idea of what you might need, what you have to buy, all that sort of stuff before you go on a big trip. We're about to leave on a 7-week trip, and it would be kind of insane for us to just hit the road for 7 weeks without stopping somewhere nearby to camp for a little bit to figure out all the things that we need to do. So all that to say, I'm taking the rig to a local campground, and on my way, I'm going to go through this burnishing procedure, and I'm going to have to probably make some loops around some county roads here to do this as well, because the process requires you to apply the trailer brakes like 30 to 50 times while giving them about a half mile to a mile break in between. So what you do is you get up to about 40 miles an hour. And again, different manufacturers describe this differently, so pay attention to what they say. You apply the trailer brakes only at full to slow you down to about 20 miles an hour. That's going to heat the brakes up, and you want to do this with your trailer brake controller set at max gain. So the first thing you do is make sure you're hooked up all properly. You don't do anything any differently with all your hookup procedure, and this is the same for travel trailers or fifth wheels. You want to make sure your tire pressure is good and all that, because that's going to affect braking performance. And then you want to get out on an open road somewhere, a not so busy road, because this is kind of dangerous. You have to speed up and slow down, speed up and slow down, speed up and slow down, and you want to pay attention to driving while you do it. So you set your trailer brake gain to 10, that's a little plus minus, and then get to about 40 miles an hour. I'm going 39 right now, there's 40. I'm going to release the accelerator, and I'm going to take the manual brake controller lever, and I'm going to slow myself down to about 20 miles an hour. And I'm going to keep watching to see if anybody's behind me. Nobody so far. I'm only down to 30 right now. I am going downhill a little bit. But you're allowing the trailer brakes to be the only thing that slows your whole rig down. Okay, I got down to 20. Now I'm going to speed back up to 40. But I want to wait like a half mile to a mile before I do it again. So make sure you're looking at your odometer and get an idea of how far you've gone. And what you're doing is superheating the brakes. They're going to get very hot, 350 to 400 degrees. They might smoke. That's normal. They don't smoke, it's still normal, it's okay. But they might smoke. And you're gonna look ridiculous doing it. So, still don't have anybody behind me, so that's pretty good. Okay, gone a little over a half a mile now. So I'm gonna get back to 40 miles an hour, and then I am going to slow myself down again. There's a combine coming at me, that's actually pretty good, because there's a reason for me to slow down. And I'm down to 30. And I'm down to 20, and I'm gonna let go and speed back up. That's twice. I wanna do that 30 times. So this is gonna take a while. It's gonna take me a half hour or so to do this. And what I want to do after I've done it is get out and feel the trailer brakes and make sure that they're all very hot. I'm not gonna feel them with my hands. I'm not gonna touch them. I'm gonna get my hands close to feel that they're hot. If you've got an infrared thermometer, it's a great time to use that. You'll see 350, 400 degrees, something like that. If one of the brakes is cool, then that means there's a problem. There's a wiring problem, something like that. And frankly, this is a good way to find out on your brand new RV if you have that sort of problem. I gotta make a turn. Okay, so I'm gonna get up to 40 miles an hour again. 32 and 40, and I'm going to slow down. This one's going to be a little faster because I'm going uphill a little bit. And if anybody wonders if your brake lights come on when you use the manual trailer brake control, they do. So you don't have to worry about, somebody being surprised behind you that you're slowing down when you manually apply the trailer brakes. That manual lever there, it's a good way to test your brakes when you start out at a campground. You're leaving the campground, you're leaving your storage, whatever. It's a good way to make sure your brakes are hooked up properly. You feel yourself slow down, but it's also a good way to end sway. If you're out on the road at highway speeds, you start to feel sway, keep your foot on the accelerator, keep going the speed you're going, maybe slow down a little bit, but grab that brake controller and pump it to full. That will often eliminate sway very quickly. It's something you should practice doing so you've got it in your head. If your trailer starts to sway, grab that lever, those brakes will apply and it will straighten that trailer out. All right, one more brake application here, and then I'm gonna leave you guys for a while I do the next 25 or so. Or more if I feel like it. After 30, I am going to check the heat of my brakes to make sure they have all heated up. Down to 20, and away we go again. Okay, so I did it about 30 times. I found a good spot on the shoulder to pull over, and I'm going to get out and I'm going to feel, not touch, I'm going to get my hand close and feel to see that all 4 of my brakes are exceedingly hot. They might be smoking, they might not. Mine aren't, so it's not a big deal. But they're not. So I'm gonna get my hand close. I can smell it, and yes, I can feel it. That's pretty hot. Those two are both hot. Oh, I can really smell it. Yeah, when I got behind the rig and the wind blew, really smell. Yeah. There you go. They're all hot. So one thing you don't want to happen during this whole process, though, is for your brakes to lock up, meaning the tires are skidding on the road. If the brakes are locking up when you're doing this, you want to dial that gain on the brake controller back just until they don't. The other thing to know is if you can't find a great space to do this, or you're just impatient, Lippert does describe for their brakes, and I assume, you know, it'll work for other ones, a pro process, which you can look at, but it just involves going basically at highway speeds, applying the brake controller while keeping your foot on the accelerator for like a half mile, making sure you know where you're going to pull over, having a good place to pull over, pulling over, you know, maybe do it a half mile away from a rest area or something, and pull over at that rest area and check them there. So we've burnished our brakes. Fantastic. We're going to have brakes that work a lot better than they would if you hadn't seated them. And who doesn't want proper working brakes? Now we can go through the process of properly setting the gain on the brake controller and perhaps another setting. But before we do that, I am going to let the brakes cool. So I'm going to try, I mean, I could just sit somewhere, but I'm going to kind of drive on the road here, trying not to be somewhere where I've got to stop much, which is, you know, whenever I hit the brakes on the truck, it's applying the brakes on the trailer. So I'm going to try to not apply them at all for the next 15 minutes or so and let them cool down a bit. And then I'm going to set the brake controller. All right, we've let the brakes cool off a bit. It's time to set the gain. So here's where I have a little beef with Ford. I have an F350, and this is my third F350. And Fords have, and I'm sure, I don't know what other trucks have for their brake controllers, but you need to look at the manual for your truck or for your brake controller if it's an aftermarket one to find out exactly what you're supposed to do. Ford's manual, which is no longer a printed manual, it's on your phone. Ford has two settings on the brake controller. We've got the gain, goes from 1 to 10, and then we've got something called effort, which we can set at low, medium, and high. How is effort different from gain? They don't say. There's like one line in the manual, like set the effort, set the gain. It doesn't explain what it does. So I'm going to explain to you what it does if you don't know. A lot of people think it's just a way to say, oh, we've got 30 different levels. There's 1 through 10 on low, 1 through 10 on medium, 1 through 10 on high. That's not how it works at all. The 1 through 10 is the voltage being applied to your brakes, right? The effort, or it might be sync on another brake controller, is telling it how quickly to apply the brakes, right? So if you have low effort, it's ramping up the brakes gently to the gain level that you've set. If you've set the max gain to 8, let's say, when you hit the brakes on your truck, the brake controller will ramp up the braking up to a maximum of 8. The effort tells the truck how abruptly to press the brakes. So Ford says you should start with a low effort, and low effort is probably best for most trailers. What you want is for the trailer brakes to come on just slightly before the truck brakes really kick in. So I'm going to start. I can tell you right now, my gain is going to be 10. A lot of big fifth wheels, your gain is going to be 10. So I'm going to just leave mine at 10 as just a baseline to figure out the effort level that I'm going to set the brakes at. The effort level, by the way, on this truck, 2024 F350, I have to go into the settings. It's not on the controller itself. So I'm going to find a spot to park so I can change the settings of my brake controller. I might as well pull into the campground now, because setting the gain for the brakes, I only need to get up to about 20 miles an hour. And it's something that's a little bit easier to do. You can do it on a campground road as long as it's not like, in a loop, where if it's a campground that's got roads that you can get up to 20 miles an hour in, or it's something you can even do in a very large parking lot. So the trailer brake effort setting is under towing settings in my truck.
And I'm going to try low first and see if that's enough. With it set to low, I'm going to go 20 miles an hour, try to stop with the brake pedal this time, and see how abruptly the trailer brakes come on. I want to feel them. I want it to be noticeable right away that they're activating in addition to the truck brakes, but I don't want them to be coming on dramatically stronger than the truck brakes. Just a firm, positive assertion. Looks like low is perfect for me, so I'm going to stick with it here, and now I can set the gain. You want to set your gain, which is really the maximum voltage that will be applied to the trailer brakes, just below the point where your trailer brakes lock up. So drive 20 miles an hour with the gain set at 6. Pull off the accelerator and then use the manual lever on your brake controller to come to a stop. If the brakes lock up, meaning the tires stop spinning and they squeal on the ground while you're still moving, you need to dial the gain down. If they don't lock up, you want to dial it up. Use some trial and error to set the gain one step below the point where the brakes lock up. If you get the gain all the way up to 10 and your brakes don't lock up at all, that's okay. Set your gain at 10. That's where it needs to be. And there's a reason the gain setting is readily adjustable at your fingertips. You may need to dial it down in slippery conditions. If you're driving in the rain and the trailer wheels are skidding when you brake, bring it down a notch or two until it doesn't. And that's it. Your brakes are burnished and your gain and effort are all set to give you the best braking performance. You shouldn't really need to do any of this again until you replace major brake parts or you get a new truck or a trailer.
Now it's time to do all the other break-in stuff on the camper and make sure that everything is in working order and ready to go, and move all of our stuff into it, all that sort of stuff, figure out where everything is going to get stored, everything. So make sure to burnish your brakes to get the top performance out of them. Make sure to set your trailer gain properly. It's not an exact science. It's okay if you adjust it up and down and you figure out the right thing for you. But make sure to figure this stuff out so you can get the optimal braking performance for your rig. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. If you got something on this video, hit the like button. If you want more like it, subscribe. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.